Well, I've been doing a little bit of work on the Porsche here last few days, trying to get it sort of cleaned up so I could get it sold. And then I noticed on the ground here, right in front of the front driver's wheel, there was a small water spot about the size of a piece of bologna. I hadn't had any spots there before. I thought it might be just condensation from the night before, so I didn't really pay much attention to it. And then the other day I noticed that it got a little bigger. So you can kind of see the dark wet spot there. That's about as big as it got. So I'm not sure. I believe there's a radiator and a air conditioning piece up here in the front, so I'm gonna go ahead and jack up the car, pull this wheel off, and pull that fender liner out. Hopefully it's just a radiator hose itself and not the radiator. It's weird that it just started leaking, so I'm kind of guessing that that's it. I did try running the air conditioner the other day when the car was running, so maybe it could be condensation, but I haven't started in a couple of days and the puddle got actually bigger, so I'm gonna go ahead and say it's probably a hose, hopefully not the radiator. Hate to have to try to take that apart, but if I do, I do. So that's gonna be my next little project. All right, well, first thing I'm gonna do is jack the car up a little bit so I can get this wheel off, and I'm gonna go ahead and figure out where the leak's coming from. And since we're gonna have this wheel off anyway, guess it's as good a time as any to change the rotor and the pads on this wheel, and we'll just work our way around here. So first things first, I'm gonna break all these lug nuts free, and we'll get it jacked up and see what we're working with. All right, so we got the car on a jack. We have a jack stand up there just in case it comes down. So my first order of business is going to go ahead and pull this fender liner because we're looking for the leak. I'm looking at these pads. They don't look too bad. The rotors are kind of got a nice lip, so we're going to go ahead and swap. I got brand new rotors, brand new pads for it, so we're going to go ahead and get that all taken care of. But yeah, but it looks like whoever did these brakes did them weird, because this should be facing the other direction. So I don't know if that turned over time, but yeah, it looks like they didn't change the rotors the last time, and that's got a fairly substantial lip right there. There's a groove there too. So I'm gonna say it was due for brakes anyway. But looking at how much pads here, I'm kind of thinking that the brake booster is bad. I did get all new hardware, so it came in the kit that I bought, so we'll be doing that. But it looks like we have a plastic push pin there, a 10 mil there. That one's missing. So I think there's a couple down here in the front. I should be able to pull that back out of the way so I can see what's going on where the leak is. But it looks like we had some tire rubbing here. I know that both front tires on this thing were shredded when I got the car. And I got some rubbing there too. I don't know if it's these wheels or what, but yeah, this bolt has got some wear on it. All right. Yeah, I don't know what that is. Just a mark. Yeah, it probably is due for some struts as well. But we're not worried about that part. We want it to be running and driving. So, but everything else looks fairly stock. I was concerned it might be one of these hoses, but so far those hoses look dry, and the puddle was more in this area, like right under here. So hopefully it's not the radiator. We'll find out quick enough. Okay, so that took a second. Trying to look on the plastic to see if there's any indication. So there was a leak sort of on the side. Let me get in here. Not really seeing anything. Let's see if that looks wet. See, that looks like it was running right there. Plastic keepers. So I guess what I'm going to end up having to do is pull the front bumper so I can get a better look at the radiator. But I think what I'm going to do is go ahead and start the car up, let it run for a while, and see if I can induce the leak. And then it'll give me an idea where to look, because so far I am not seeing it. Let's try. I don't see any like marks where it looks like it's been ran down the side of the radiator. So unless it's just leaking down here somewhere, because it does look like that's wet, but that doesn't really tell me much. So yeah, maybe go ahead and pull the whole bumper out just to get a better look. So I think I'm going to do that. I'm going to ahead and pull the whole front bumper off, but in the meantime I'm going to go ahead and put a piece of cardboard down that's nice and clean. That way any drips that show up will show up on the cardboard. I'm going to try to pull this fender liner back out of the way. Oops. Perfect. So that way, while it's doing its thing, it will give me a heads up. Alright, so be back in a little while. Alright, so I topped off the coolant so it's completely full. Go ahead and put that bad boy back on there. And as you can tell, the car is idling. Got our wonderful piece of cardboard down here that we're gonna use as our catch. Remove all these screws out of the way. We'll use our lug nuts to hold down the piece of cardboard. Maybe if they stop rolling around. Sure, we'll use it. All right, so that was kind of where we had our leak. Is that wet? No, that's not wet. Yeah, it was kind of right here in this corner, so I'm going to bring the car up to temperature, let it idle for 20-30 minutes, whatever it takes to get it to kick, have the fans kick on, and then I'll shut it off and we'll see. Now the only thing I noticed was when I turned the heater on is when it started leaking. So I don't think the heater runs all the way up there, but it might. Alright, so let's see where we're at. It hasn't really moved yet. So, yep, we'll just let it idle here for a bit until it completely warms up. I've got the heat set to high, and we're just going to let it do its thing. Okay, so we have a drip right here, but it's ice cold, so I'm not sure. Feels like right there. Let's crawl under here and see if we can see anything. Be great if it was just that hose leaking. That's straight up and down from where the drip is. See in there? Is it just condensation from the, let's see. I may end up having to take the front bumper off. Can't really see much inside of there. Yeah, can't really see. So without pulling the front bumper off, I may not be able to see very much, but let's scoot this over and see if we get a new drip. That was, but this is cold. Like, and the car is already starting to warm up, so this is like ice cold. All right, so we'll just keep waiting. Alright, so pull the front bumper off. I'm starting up here at the top. There were 4 little twist tabs. They look like screws. They're not. You just turn them 90 degrees and then lift, and you can get them off. And then underneath there are a couple of Phillips. And we'll get those next. You gotta pull the side marker light. It's a pull clip, so you just need to pull the edge and then kind of slide it out. And then we'll get this little clip off here to remove the marker, so it's out of the way for now. And there should be, yeah, there's one screw, this screw right here. You have to reach from the bottom. So you have 2 Phillips. One that goes in here from the bottom. You gotta come in from the fender well, and you got one right there that needs to come out. So those are the 2 behind the marker light. Now that's loose. Since I already got the inner fender liner loose on this side, I'm going to go ahead and work my way around the front, getting all those to the passenger side. Alright, so if you didn't take the fender liner out first, there's 2 Torx T30s on that side, 2 in the middle, one there, and 2 more on the passenger side. So on my passenger side, I have some broken tabs where the T30s went. I did not have to take the whole fender liner out, just 2 tabs, and I could get to all the screws. And as you can see, I've already pulled it forward a little bit, so I'm going to go ahead and pull it out of there so that I have more room. Alright, so I laid it over there. You can see where I have tabs on this side, but I don't have tabs on this side. They're both gone. So that front bumper cover's seen better days. What do we got up here now? We can see we got some gravel up here. Got some sort of sensor here. Not sure where that goes. Pretty sure it just doesn't lay there in the bottom. That side's pretty clean, but I do have a big hole in the plastic. Let's see here. Do I see anything? I do have a wet spot right there, but what is it from? I got a bunch of leaves in here, so I guess I need to pull this plastic shroud off next so I can see everything. And those are probably T30s, maybe. Looks to be about the same size, and there looks to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, at least 5 of them. So we'll see. Get those out of the way. So the fans just kicked on and off. That means the car just hit 185-ish. So far, no leaks up here. And it's warm, so I'm going to go ahead and get this plastic air scoop off. Okay, well, they're definitely smaller than T30. I thought they were T30, so I'm going to go grab a smaller size. I don't have one here with me. I only have bigger ones, so back in a second. Alright, so these guys out here are T25s. I'm going to zip them off real quick. Hopefully there's only the 4 or 5 I see. So now the car's been running for a few minutes. Fans have been on and off. They just kicked on again. I am getting a whiff of coolant. So I'm not seeing any drips yet, but I do smell it. Alright, so I just got the fan shroud out of here, and as you can see, a bunch of crap fell out of here. This is really dirty. I'm going to come in here with my vacuum and clean it up, but you can hear the fan running now, so this radiator has gotten to temp. So now that I know that this is working, yeah, there's all sorts of crap behind there. So I'm going to go ahead and let this run until the fan kicks off. Then I'm going to turn the car off. I'm going to vacuum all this stuff up. I'm going to go ahead and loosen up the radiator condenser so I can get behind it and clean it up. So that's kind of plugged. Yeah, there was like somebody was living in there. So hopefully it's just a hose and I'll be able to get to it without too much issue. If it's not, then that'll be something else. But from what I understand, I can take these 2 bolts out here on the radiator, and then they're just connected on the flex lines, and I should be able to pull it off of these brackets, or bracket I should say, and it'll give me enough room to get behind it. So just 2 8mm and a little bit of wiggling, and this clip slides right out, and then this will just come out of the way. But you can see how much crud is built up behind there. As soon as I move this away, the fan started pulling a lot more air. So I'm gonna go ahead and vacuum that out. I've got some AC stuff that you spray in there and it dissolves all biologicals, so I might go ahead and do that, but I still can't find the leak, so I'm gonna wait until I find the leak before I clean that. But let me get this vacuumed out first. Alright, so that cleaned up pretty nice. Fans are kicking back on. So we've got this down here along the bottom of the radiator, but I still don't see any actual leakage. So I'm going to go ahead, now that I know the car is fully warmed up, because this fan's been kicking on and off for a while. We'll go ahead and shut it off, and then we'll look for a leak. I flipped the cardboard over so it's under the radiator. I was really hoping it was going to be a hose, but I'm not seeing any leak from a hose, so unless it's this guy here, or we got a hairline crack somewhere, anything's possible. Well, I've let it cool off for quite a while and still no leak. I know there's a leak because I saw it in the morning, so we're going to go ahead and do the brake on this side, get the rotor changed, and then we'll go ahead and start it back up and let it run and heat cycle again, and then in the morning I'll check it for leaks. But I'll probably do the brake on this side, and then I'll probably do the brake on the passenger side while I'm at it. Alright, so we're doing slotted rotors on the Boxster. Part number for this is the 2028 This is a left-handed rotor. 2028R would be a right. The rears have a different part number, and the brake pads I'm using are these guys. So first thing I have to do is pull the sensor wire out of here. That lets you know that you have low brake. And like I said earlier, these have a severe lip, so we're going to go ahead and knock those out of there as well. Just get this thing a little bit better, and most likely I'm going to end up buying a brake booster for this car just because the pedal is super hard. I mean, where you're like standing on it to either make it slow down. So I'm believing that the brake booster has failed. It doesn't feel like a brake master. It doesn't like get hard and then drop away. It just is full on hard, like there's no brake. And at first I thought maybe the pads were run all the way out, or they were frozen, but these pads look fairly decent. I'll compare them to the new ones when I get them out, but we'll see. But I don't think it's enough to make that big a difference. I mean, I've run pads all the way down to the bottom and I still had brake pedals, so I don't think that's it. And it looks like somebody went ahead and filled up the reservoir, so there doesn't look to be a whole lot of space in here, but we will find out shortly. Alright, so I was able to use a pair of needle nose to turn the pin so I could pull the keeper out because it was facing downwards. It is very dirty, but my hardware kit did come with new ones. So next thing I can do is wiggle these pads to break any contact we have in there and go ahead and get them out. I did have to use a screwdriver to drive the pin out because it was fairly stuck in there. Alright, so next we're going to do that, and then we are going to pull off the caliper so that we can change the rotor. The question is, am I going to have a big enough Allen key to do that? We will have to see, because I don't know if I do or not. But these look pretty good, so I'm just going to clean them up a little bit and put them back in. Alright, well, let's see. I could stand that up. Maybe. That's that one. And that's that one. I mean, they're probably about 80%. So definitely not the issue with the brake pads. It definitely seems to be more brake booster. So we can go ahead. We're going to get rid of these anyway. I could store them in case I ever needed them, but I don't think so. And like I said, next thing we got to do is find a big Allen to get these guys out of here. And I am not sure what size it is, so it's going to take me a minute. Alright, well, it's really hard to read, but I think this is an 8mm. It is the one that fits in it. So we'll go ahead and break those loose so we can get the caliper out of the way. Alright, so I'm just supporting the weight, making sure I don't bend or twist this too far so we don't mess up any of the lines over there. But there is a lot of crap, so I'm going to go ahead and clean the back of this up real nice. I might even get my wire brush and just knock some of that stuff off of there just to get the debris out. Yeah, there was a lot of dust on there, so between my drill and this guy here, this looks really good, getting in all the spots that I couldn't reach with the drill. So now I'll go ahead and put the rotor back on, put the brakes back on, get everything bolted back down, and cleaned up. Alright, to put your two screws back in, you need to align your hub. These come with different pre-drilled holes. So mine for this particular hub is the two centers, so I had to turn it until I got that lined up and then put that back on. And now I can go ahead and put the caliper back in. I'm going to wipe down the rotor real quick with some brake clean. and some clean paper towels, and that way I can get my fingerprints off of it, and then we can get the brake caliper in place, and then we can put the shoes back in. All right, both pads are now in. Got to put the hardware back in, and then I can put the sensor back in. Okay, new hardware. So we got a new guide pin, we got a new pad keeper, and we got a new cotter or clip. So that all went in nice and easy. Now we're just going to go ahead and put the sensor back in. It's got to go down inside this little hole over here, and it should line up perfectly. And then this one is the same over here. If your pads are worn and you're getting an indicator, oops, let's get that wire underneath there so it doesn't pop out. You'll need to replace that wire, because once it rubs down to that, the wire's no good. Because I'm still messing around on this side trying to find out where the leak is, or if it's a leak and not condensation. I really don't think it's condensation, because the puddle was really big, and I do smell coolant over here, so but I don't see any leak on the hoses, so it's definitely not back in there. It seems like it should be coming from here and dripping down, because the puddle was in this corner. So I'm gonna go ahead and get the other passenger side wheel off, and then we'll swap out that brake as well. And I'll check that radiator as well for cleanliness, and probably clean it out as well. I've got everything apart. All right, same drill. Jack under the car under its jacking point. Jack stand under this side as well. I've still got that side off because, like I said, we're working on that side. I may go ahead and pull this fender liner back as well, so I can clean up on this side. We'll have to see. I'm going to go ahead and pull this radiator intake off, and possibly check around and see if I can get one that isn't got a big hole in it. That would be kind of cool. You know, since I got the whole front bumper off, I might as well do that. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to get the 2 screws out of here and set them aside. Then we'll go ahead and pull the wires and get the caliper pin out and go that route. So same thing. Yeah, this rotor is got a big groove on both the inside and the outside. Pads look good, so somebody swapped pads in at some point, but they didn't change the rotors. I don't see any leaks on the hoses over on this side, so that's a plus. So it does look like this had rubbed here, and same spot there, so probably be time for some new coilovers. Definitely looks like the sway bar boot is sway bar link boot is worn out. Seeing a little cracking on the tie rod as well. But right now I'm not too concerned about it. I want to get this thing running, driving, because everybody who's asked questions about it want to know if they can test drive it, and I've told them no, because I don't trust the brakes. It's been sitting since 2017. I would much rather have good brakes. So when I am done this afternoon, I'm going to go inside and go ahead and order up a brake booster, just because seeing the brakes and seeing how hard they are, I'm wondering if they put their brake pads in because they thought it needed it because it was so hard. I'm not 100% sure, but okay, let's get this one off. At least these are easy so far, knock on wood. And it does seem whoever did this brake put this in upside down, because the wire wasn't where it's supposed to be, and the keeper was bent out of shape, so I'm not sure what the hell that was about either. But we got new hardware, so we're all good. Yeah, so next thing I'm gonna do is drive this pin out, because now it's catching here on the wire and I can't get it out without damaging it. I found that if I use my little bent pry bar and I kind of lean on the pads a little bit, it pushes the caliper back in fairly easy. And I do it in two directions. I do it on the top side, so I get that one, and I do it on the bottom side, so I get the other one. Yeah, it's hard to see, but now that pad should come out. Which is, this way I don't have to stick nothing down the caliper, but see how easy that came out now? Perfect. And they can go back a little bit farther. So I'll go ahead and push them back a little bit more. Let's get that wire out of the way for a second, and then I'll do the other one. Alright, cleaned up all of that. Just got the brake hanging here. Just moved it back just a little bit to get the caliper off the rotor, and we'll put it back. We just want to make sure we don't bend that hard line that's going from the flex to the caliper, or we'll be replacing that, and nobody wants to do that, so just be gentle. Okay, rotor's back in, screws are there to hold it in place, caliper's back on, bolts are tightened down. So now we just got to put our new pads on, and I need to get another piece of paper towel to wipe them down with, and we're golden. And I need to wipe down the rotors again because I hit them on the brake when I put them on. These little pins stick out, and with that line on there you don't have a whole lot of room to move things around, so but that's okay. That's why we have brake clean. Alright, so our brake sensor wires are back in where they're supposed to go. The keeper is holding it. This one goes through here and then into the brake caliper itself and then out, and you should have just a little bit of space left over. So that is all back together. New brake pads are on, and where I hit the caliper with the bolt, it knocked off some of the silver paint, but as soon as you step on the brakes, that's gonna go away anyway, so no big deal. All right, I went with just straight up slotted because so far every pair of drilled rotors, whether they're drilled and slotted or just straight up drilled, I end up with cracks in the holes, so I prefer not to deal with that. So I went ahead and went with just the slotted ones this time around. Alright, so we're going to pull the passenger's fender liner back. So we pulled out the push pin here, took off the tin. I just got the one thing up here in the front to do, and then I'm going to pull off the radiator intake, whatever you want to call it. I got the car running again to try to warm it up, make sure that we get it nice and warm for it sitting overnight, so hopefully we can induce the leak. If it doesn't leak, I'm not really sure why it's not leaking. I still don't know. This seems like it shouldn't just be laying here. Yeah, this one's really broke. It's broke here, it's broke here, so I'm gonna see about finding a replacement. Doesn't make sense to keep it on there if it's all broke up. So this is the passenger side air and duct, whatever you want to call it, and the air conditioner, it's got some pretty good damage to the lower edge. That could be why the AC doesn't work. It's missing some fins up there. Yeah, I don't know. Not sure what that is all about, but yeah, we've got some. Went ahead and pulled that sensor out. I don't think it's supposed to be in this way, or if it is, it's missing a part, because I don't think it should just be sitting there, but we'll figure that out. I'll order up a new liner, but we'll go ahead and get these 2 8s out, pull that back. I've got one more bolt here holding the fender liner in. The fender liner on this side seems to be damaged as well, so doesn't look too bad, but we'll see. I'm not going to be replacing it. see if we can clean it up some. But I'm gonna go ahead and get this last one out of here. Alright, so on the driver's side, I didn't see any leaks or signs of leaks. But here on the passenger side, this is rusted. There was definitely some damage here somewhere. This should be lined up in this hole back here, and this steel tub right here, you can see this big dent right here. So there was a bit of a push on this side. So if the coolant was leaking down this side and then running down the bumper and then draining out the other side, that would make sense. I think I can get to this on the inside of the trunk, and if I can get my porta power in there, and I should be able to push this back out. It doesn't look like it's structural, it's just the trunk. So I should be able to straighten that back out and get this back to where it's supposed to be, and that'll help some of this other stuff line up. But yeah, they had put a bolt in here when it was supposed to be this push pin that's way over here, so it was way off. It's almost, they were using this hole, so that's about 3 inches or so. So maybe I can get that sorted out. Is that what they totaled this car? I mean, it's got a clear title, but the paperwork from the auction said it was totaled. I'm not sure who totaled it, because I'm not seeing. I mean, that's not nothing. That's not even. That has nothing to do with anything. So we'll see. So we'll get back to tearing this apart. We'll get this radiator condenser out of the way, and then we'll see what's behind it. Looking at this radiator, I'm gonna say this radiator is new. So somebody did replace this radiator. Look how clean it is. There's nothing built up compared to what the front looks like. There's nothing on this one. So I'm gonna say they had a push in on this side. They replaced the radiator, and the leak we have is probably the fact that this has a hose clamp instead of a factory spring clamp, and it was leaking down that side. So in the morning, if the puddle's on this side, we'll know, because now there's no place for the liquid to drain to. All right, so I got one fan kicked on back there. I don't hear this one yet, or the other one. So yeah, I think somebody did some repairs on this car, replaced whatever damage, and kind of just let it sit. Alright, so that's it for today. Thanks for watching. Tomorrow I'm going to get back out here. Hopefully we can find the leak. I'm pretty sure it's this hose clamp right here leaking. If it is, I'll go ahead and get a new one put on there. I do have spring clamps, but I don't know if I can get in there without taking the whole radiator out. I might have to do that. We'll see. And then I'll do the rear brakes, and like I said, I'm going to order up the brake booster, and we'll call that good. And then we will have to go through and see about repairing some of this plastic work. See, they put these bolts in here that don't belong in there. They just kind of podged the front end back together. I wish I could find a better front bumper cover, but unless I'm keeping the car, I don't want to spend the money on it. Let somebody else repair that part. So I just want to get the thing running. So that's what we're doing today. Thanks for watching. Okay, I see we have a leak right there. That is definitely liquid. Now, it's hard to see it, but it seems to be this part of the radiator. Well, I'm going to say that the radiator's bad because it doesn't appear to be leaking from the top up in here. This is all dry, and it looks like all the liquid's down here. So I guess I'm going to have to price out a radiator, or maybe I could take it in to get fixed. I don't know if you can repair these plastic jobbers.